Dear listeners, I welcome you to my channel. Leave your comments and impressions, I value your opinion. I never thought my own living room could feel this hostile, the air thick with tension as if a storm was brewing right between us. The couch, which had been a sanctuary for lazy Sunday cuddles, was now a battleground where our future was hanging by a thread. My husband, Tom, stood across from me, his face a mask of confusion and hurt that I could hardly bear to look at. "You're not serious, are you?" His voice broke, slicing through the uncomfortable silence. But I was serious. Painfully so. "I am, Tom. I need this time to explore, to understand myself better. I think it could help us in the long run," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. My heart ached as I watched him process my words that seemed to crumble the foundation of our 10-year marriage. Tom laughed, a harsh sound that didn't reach his eyes. "And what? I'm just supposed to wait here for you? Be your safety net?" The incredulity in his voice stung, but I had prepared myself to stand firm. "You don't have to just wait, Tom. You can see other people too. It's only fair," I offered, hoping to cushion the blow. He paced, running his hands through his hair in frustration. "So you've planned out our whole future, just like that? What about my say in this?" The room felt colder than ever as I struggled to maintain my composure. This was not how I had envisioned this conversation going. "I thought you want some freedom too," I murmured, feeling the divide between us widen. Suddenly, Tom stopped pacing and faced me, his eyes alight with a fiery spark that I hadn't seen in years. "Okay," he said slowly, as if testing the word. "Okay, if that's how we're doing this, then I will be comparing you with other women." His words hit like a slap, unexpected and shocking. My heart raced, panic fluttering in my chest. "You can't mean that. It's not the same thing." "Why not?" he challenged, stepping closer. "Isn't it fair? If you're gaining experience, why shouldn't I?" I could see the hurt behind his anger, the way he clutched at his ideals of fairness like a lifeline. But this was not what I had imagined. My plan had been about self-exploration, not tit for tat. "I didn't think you want to turn this into a competition," I said, my voice cracking with emotion. Tom shook his head, disbelief written all over his face. "Competition? Is that what you think this is?" "No. This is about respect, about our vows. How can you be so calm about throwing all that away?" I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes, the weight of his words pressing down on me. "I don't know," I admitted, my resolve starting to crumble. "I just thought." "What? That I'd be okay with this? That I'd quietly accept your rules?" His voice was rising now, filled with a mixture of anger and pain. I reached out to him, hoping to bridge the gap with a touch, but he stepped back, leaving my hand hanging in the air. "I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just I need some space to figure things out." Tom's face softened momentarily, but the walls quickly went up again. "Space, huh? Well, leave do too." And with that, he grabbed his coat and headed for the door. My heart screamed for me to stop him, to fix this before it broke us completely, but my voice failed me. The click of the door echoed through the empty house, a resounding finale to our conversation. I sank to the floor, the weight of our shared years pressing down on me, and for the first time, I doubted the wisdom of my own heart. As the silence enveloped me, I realized that this was just the beginning. The morning after Tom stormed out, I was awash in a mix of guilt and stubborn resolve. My phone lay silent beside me, the lack of messages from him amplifying the emptiness of our home. It was only when my best friend Mia called that I realized how isolated I had become in my own turmoil. "Hey, you've been quiet. Everything okay?" Mia's voice was laced with concern. I hesitated, not sure where to start. "Not really, no. Tom and I had a disagreement." Mia, ever the peacemaker, suggested we meet for coffee. "Let's talk about it. I'm heading to Café Luce in 10. I agreed, desperate for any respite from the silence of my thoughts. Café Luce was bustling with the morning rush, the aroma of coffee a comforting blanket. Mia waved from a corner booth, her presence a stark contrast to my disheveled state. "What happened, hon?" Mia asked as soon as I sat down. I poured out everything, from my desire for experience to Tom's ultimatum and his painful exit last night. Mia listened, her brow furrowed. "So you both threw down gauntlets. What's your next move?" she asked, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. "I don't know. I thought I was being reasonable, but maybe I was just being selfish," I admitted, feeling the weight of regret. "That's tough, babe. But maybe you both need some space to think. Have you thought about seeing someone? A counselor maybe? Mia suggested. I nodded slowly. It was a reasonable suggestion, yet something held me back. Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the background noise. Sarah, is that you? I turned to see Jake, a mutual friend of Tom and me, approaching our table. His surprise at seeing me there was evident. Jake, hey, yeah, it's me. I forced a smile, feeling suddenly cornered. Jake sat down, his concern palpable. I saw Tom last night at Ryan's. He seemed off. Everything okay? Mia shot me a look, silently asking if she should intervene, but I shook my head. We're going through some things, I said, choosing my words carefully. Jake nodded, understanding the delicacy of the situation. If you guys need anything, just let me know, alright? His genuine offer warmed my heart, but also served as a reminder of what was at stake. After Jake left, Mia leaned in, her voice low. You need to fix this, Sarah. Before it's too late. Talk to him, without the ultimatums and conditions. Her words echoed in my mind as we parted ways. The rest of the day was a blur, my thoughts consumed with the mess I had created. By evening, I knew Mia was right. I had to reach out to Tom to try and mend the rift before it grew any wider. I dialed Tom's number, my heart pounding in my chest. The phone rang once, twice then. Hello. His voice was cautious, uncertain. Tom, it's me. Can we talk? I think we need to sort things out, face to face. There was a pause, and for a moment, I feared he would refuse. But then, okay. Let's meet at the park. 1 hour? Okay, I replied, a mix of relief and dread settling in. As I hung up, I realized that this conversation would determine the future of our marriage. The park where we had shared countless walks and talks awaited us. It was a fitting place to decide whether we could walk together once more or if our paths would irreversibly diverge. The park is quieter than usual, the usual chatter of children and bark of dogs notably absent. Perhaps it's the overcast sky that has kept them away, or maybe it's just the universe granting us the privacy we desperately need. I find Tom sitting on our usual bench by the duck pond, a spot that holds so many of our happier memories. He looks up as I approach, and there's a guarded look in his eyes that makes my heart sink. Sarah, he says, his voice neutral, careful. Tom. I sit beside him, leaving a small space between us, a physical manifestation of the emotional gulf that has opened up. We sit in silence for a moment, both of us staring out at the water, where a pair of ducks glide peacefully together. The irony isn't lost on me. I didn't expect you to call, Tom finally says, breaking the silence. I know. I've been thinking a lot. About us, about what I said. My voice trembles slightly, betraying my nervousness. And there's a cautious curiosity in his tone. I'm sorry, Tom. I realize now how unfair it was for me to spring this on you, to expect you to just accept it. I turn to look at him, needing him to see the sincerity in my eyes. He meets my gaze, and for a second, I see the flicker of the man I fell in love with. It hurt, Sarah. More than I thought possible. I felt like I was losing you, and then, when I said I compare you with other women, I was just so angry. I nod, understanding his pain. I know, and I'm sorry for causing that. I never wanted to hurt you. It was selfish of me to think only of my needs. Tom sighs, looking back at the ducks. So what now? Where do we go from here? I think we should see a counselor, like Mia suggested. We need to figure this out, whether there's a way forward together. It's a plea, as much as a suggestion, my last hope to salvage the wreck we've made of our marriage. He's quiet for a long time, and I wait, holding my breath. Finally he nods. Okay, we can try that. I'm willing to try if you are. Relief washes over me, mingled with a profound sadness for the pain we've both endured. I am. More than anything, Tom. We stand together, a little closer now, and as we walk back through the park, I feel a fragile thread of hope. It's thin, easily broken, but it's there. As we reach the parking lot, Tom stops and looks at me. Just so you know, I didn't see anyone else, Sarah. The thought of comparing you, it was just something said in anger. His words stir something deep within me, a mix of gratitude and renewed affection. Me neither, Tom. I couldn't. He offers a small, tentative smile, and for a moment, it feels like we might just find our way back to each other. Let's start with the counselor, he says as we reach our cars. We'll take it from there. Okay. I agree, feeling a sense of purpose for the first time in days. As I drive home, the clouds begin to break, slivers of blue peeking through. It's not much, but like our conversation, it's a start, a hint of brighter days to come. Maybe, just maybe, we can rebuild. Find new ways to love each other in the spaces that hurt has hollowed out. The journey will be long and uncertain, but the first steps, though shaky, are behind us now. The weeks following our agreement to see a counselor unfolded with a mixture of trepidation and unexpected moments of tenderness between Tom and me. Our sessions were initially awkward, the air heavy with unspoken grievances and the fear of what might be unearthed. But as we delved deeper under the guidance of Dr. Ellis, a compassionate yet straightforward woman, we began to peel back the layers of misunderstanding and hurt that had accumulated over the years. It was during one particularly intense session that the unexpected happened. Dr. Ellis had just asked us to share something about the other that we admired. Tom hesitated and turned to me with a seriousness that made my heart skip a beat. Sarah, there's something I haven't told you. About that night at Ryan's when you thought I might have reacted more than I should have. I tensed, bracing for what might come next. What about it? My voice was barely a whisper. Tom took a deep breath. I ran into your old friend Rachel. She told me something I think you should know. Rachel? My mind raced. I hadn't seen her in years, not since she moved out of state for a new job. She told me about the job offer you turned down last year, the one in Paris. You didn't even mention it to me because you knew I wouldn't want to move. Tom's eyes searched mine for an explanation. I felt as if the floor had dropped away beneath me. Tom, you sacrificed your dream job for me, for us. And here I was thinking you wanted freedom from our marriage, Tom continued, his voice thick with emotion. The room was silent but for the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. Dr. Ellis observed us quietly, allowing the moment to unfold. I was afraid to tell you, I confessed, my voice trembling. Afraid that bringing it up would make you feel trapped, that you'd resent me for holding you back. Tom reached for my hand, his touch gentle. Sarah, I had no idea, and I'm sorry for not seeing the weight you were carrying. I think I owe you an apology for not being there when you needed me to really listen. The simplicity of his apology, the sincerity in his eyes, unraveled me. Here we were, finding out that our marriage was stronger and yet more fragile than we'd ever known. Dr. Ellis nodded at us, a small smile playing on her lips. It seems you've both been protecting each other from pains and choices you imagined for the other. What do you think this means for your future? Tom squeezed my hand, his resolve clear. It means we have a lot more to share, a lot more to build on. And maybe it's not too late for some dreams. Hope, bright and fierce, surged within me. Maybe we could find a way to make that Paris opportunity work. Together this time, I suggested, daring to believe it could be possible. Tom's smile was all the answer I needed. 3 months later, we found ourselves in Paris, the city of lights and love. As we walked along the Seine, the Eiffel Tower gleaming in the twilight, I couldn't help but feel that the universe had given us a second chance. Tom had embraced the move with enthusiasm, finding a position that he loved, while I stepped into the role I had once turned down. Here's to new beginnings, Tom toasted later that evening as we sat in a quaint little bistro. To us, I added, my heart full. As the evening unfolded, laughter and the clink of glasses around us, I realized that our journey had taught us something vital. Love wasn't just about holding on, it was about letting go, about trusting each other enough to share dreams and fears alike. And as we looked out at the Parisian stars, it was clear that the biggest surprise of all wasn't just surviving the storm, it was where the winds had brought us together.